What's up, it's King Steph, and I'm here with JJK 198, and ended up actually being the conclusion of the Sakurajima colony. The Naoya versus Maki, Daido, Mio, and Noritoshi fight has come to a conclusion, and boy, we got one hell of a chapter because this revealed a lot in returns to some of Maki's powers and basically the advantages she has now. And Naoya honestly has a really cool domain, but let's go ahead and get right up into it. Naoya's domain expansion, Temporal Womb Moon Palace. Really dope name. In the domain, anyone he touches must move like he does or they'll be frozen for just 1 second. Even the cells in the opponent's bodies are targeted by the domain, and the movements Naoya has set out are all implemented into the opponent's mind, because you see Mio and Daido have these film reels go into them, and they can kind of see like what's going into them, but they don't know what's going on, and they really can't see what's exactly going into them. And if they don't follow these said movements like Naoya would, they get severely damaged internally and externally. As you see all of the blood just come out of Daido and Mio like a faucet. This lethal domain is honestly pretty freaking scary, because if you can't figure out the movements or the motions, you're pretty much done for after a couple of steps. Meanwhile, Naoya just sits in this little womb, this cursed womb organ he's kind of just resting in, and he just sees people just confused. It's like us, it's almost similar to Gojo in a sense of so much information going in, you don't even know what's going on. Same thing for Akari, and then this one is just worse because you make one false movement and you're just pretty much done for. And I think this is kind of what we all expected in terms of his domain being centered around projection sorcery, but this is even crazier, and being killed so fast that you don't even know what's happening to you in the process is just an insane thing to even think about. This domain expansion to me is really cool, because especially like the name, because most of domains that we see, they have a background theme to them that represents that person's curse technique. And Naoya's looks like they're in outer space, and it's as if like the thing behind Naoya is almost like an eyeball or a moon, or kind of like a destination to reach. But the sad part about it is they're never going to reach it, and they'll never reach like Naoya trying to fight him. You're just stuck in a loop of pain, which is kind of ironic too, because think about Naoya, he always wanted to reach those levels of Toji and Gojo, yet he never had a chance of really doing so. Daido and Mio got really messed up. I thought one of them was going to drop, honestly, especially Daido, considering he got his hands cut off, I think like to elbow length, not full arm, but about halfway. And Mio basically is just in severe pain. But when Naoya started to look for Maki, that's when the whole game changed, because Maki cannot be trapped in domains due to her having zero curse energy, which we already kind of knew, because when she came into the Culling Games, she could move from barrier to barrier without being randomly teleported. And barriers activate and work off curse energy, kind of like a security system. If you can't see or assist the target, is useless. Although if the barrier is used on a physical structure, like what Megami did in his battle against Reggie, where he pretty much kind of wrapped his domain around the entire gym structure, since his domain is incomplete, the domain will work against her. Or if she agrees to the conditions of the domain, like a non-lethal, I'm guessing, or she just straight up invades it on her own free will. And Maki stabs Naoya right through the chest with her sword, very reminiscent of Toji stabbing Gojo in the back when he invaded their barrier. Now we get this internal dialogue of Mai and Maki on that beach from when Mai gave Maki the sword, and she looks happy because Maki was really able to destroy it all. And we all know at this point, destroy it all means more than just destroying the Zenin clan. And we finally get the explanation of this sword that Mai gave her and why it's so special. The sword is a replica of the katana curse tool Toji wielded, and it's called the Soul Liberation Blade. Badass name, by the way. It ignores the hardness of everything and cuts the soul directly. And when I read that, I immediately thought of Mahito. Like, I'm telling you, he's coming back. But in order to use it at its full potential, the wielder must have a pair of eyes that can see the souls of inanimate objects. I feel like that's more so of a heavenly restriction thing, but we also see that Daido did it, so it's more so just that feeling of, I guess, you know, the freedom that we saw from 196. Naoya is shocked to see this, and of course pissed off. He twists his head and he starts to look like that worm form he had when we first meet him, and he tries to press Maki, But Maki, she slices him up. The domain shatters, and Naoya is done and gone. It looks like, I guess he just exploded while he was in the domain. And the domain short hit effect just couldn't recognize Maki. It was a great panel of the domain breaking and of her with the sword in her hand. Really cool. And Mio and Daido, they are just surprised to be alive at this point. And Daido looks at Maki, just shocked at what she's been fully realized as. Another Toji Zenin has emerged, someone that is basically on a different level than a peak human, the god of war, Maki. My final thoughts on this chapter, I gotta say, really good chapter. I'll probably give it like a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. Really good still. Really, obviously, this, I don't want to say if it's the culmination of Maki's character development, but if it is, it really does feel like it. Although, obviously, we got more things to come in the coming games. You never know, we might see another level of Maki. Not necessarily in terms of her as a fighter or a sorcerer, more so just her as a person. I would be really interested to see that. But I want to get my thoughts on Naoya as a villain. Basically, to me, Naoya was never supposed to be like the Sukuna, Kenjaku, Mahito, even a Jogo. He was never, to me, gave off those vibes as soon as he lost to Choso, which isn't a detriment to Choso. It's more so like his first introduction in terms of us seeing him fight, he loses, and he loses convincingly. So that automatically let me know, okay, he's only going to go so far. And when you think about Naoya and what he is, he's a scumbag villain. That's what he is supposed to be. There was never supposed to be like a redemption or a long-term character motive for him to reach. The point of Naoya was he was a sorcerer who was obviously just a terrible person who wanted to reach those goals like that Toji Gojo levels of power. But he'll never reach them, no matter how dastardly he tried, no matter how much hate he had or what he thought was right, he'll never reach it. And you can see that also on like good sorcerer side. There are sorcerers that will never reach those pinnacles like a Gojo, Toji. Hell, even there are some people who will never be on the level of Megumi or Yuji. So seeing Naoya kind of be, in a sense, this scumbag character who's also a tragic character was always really interesting to me. And the whole rivalry with Maki, honestly, to me, was really done well. There was no scenario where Naoya was really supposed to win, because if Naoya wins, it really doesn't affect anybody except giving him a feat. And let's say he beats Maki at that point they were at the Zenin massacre, it would just make everything Maki did look childish, or just, I would say, really low level, because we needed her to completely beat them and get rid of them. So that's just me. I know some people really had mixed opinions about how Naoya went out. I'm fine with it, because I never really thought of Naoya as a grand character per se, even as a villain, because we had other villains in the past that honestly have higher expectations from us, and they met those expectations, and they were just way more of a threat and more of a, we need them in the story in order to progress. We need to beat them in order to progress. And I'm fine with him being a quote-unquote plot device, if that's what people want to call him, because in every story there's going to be a plot device. You need those things to grow your characters. It's not like he was just in there and he just served no purpose. And Naoya had a purpose the minute he was in the story, which was to flesh out the Zenin clan, help build Maki, and as well to kind of show a glimpse of another side of a dastardly person who does have ambitions. So yeah, overall, I'm just cool with what Naoya was. Also, gotta talk about that blade, the Soul Liberation blade. Now that we know what it is, I see why she only needs that in order to fight. Cut anything. It can even cut to the soul. That is incredibly powerful. And probably, it's something, in terms of power, is definitely up there with on the level of a playful cloud. That's kind of where I put it at, but just way more, just too much of a problem. Okay, that's all she needs. Not gonna lie, I wish she would have one more weapon or something to trap or capture people, but that kind of might be a little bit too broken to give her something she can capture people, like that chain Toji had. But nonetheless, this is a really cool blade. I'm glad we got some explanation on it, and that soul part, I'm telling you, that's going to be very important. But we finished the colonies in terms of introductions. We got Yuji and his character and how pretty much the aftermath of Shibuya, how he feels everything in regards to that. We got Megami out the way. He had a really cool fight. Yuta and Akari, the big bosses that they are, did their thing, and Maki having full realization. Man, the only thing that's left, or what I think is gonna be next, I should say, is two things. We're either A, gonna go to Megami and figure out what's going on with the Angel, and with Megami comes Yuji, because Yuji's going to go over there, or we're going to see what's up with Yuki. A lot of people have kind of thought Yuki is next. I am on the fence of she's going to be after whatever is next after Maki. So that's what I'm looking for. I think coming into chapter 199, and especially that grand 200, which is going to be really great, really cool that JJK has lasted for 200 chapters and going strong. But 199 is going to be the biggest question mark for us as fans. Try not to get spoiled, because whatever happens in 199, we're going to be there for a while, and it's probably going to be some good stuff. But with that was my review on the chapter. Let me know how you feel about the chapter in your own opinion down in the comment section down below. I'll holler at you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.